in my opinion, one of the finest, most progressive, most effective members of the United States House of Representatives, certainly one of the most well-informed, Congressman Dennis Kucinich of Ohio. Congressman Kucinich,
Tom.
Great to have you with us. And just to recap, we've been following what's going on in Wisconsin and Ohio now. We just heard from James Hoffa a few minutes ago, 40,000 people outside the State House in Columbus. And we also just had a long talk with Matt Taibbi, who's got an article called How Wall Street's Crooks Evaded Jail in this week's Rolling Stone that lays out how this whole thing, this whole crash came about because of criminal activity on Wall Street. And yet there's this incredible effort by people like the governor of your state to blame it on teachers' unions.
Well, to blame it on the teachers' unions and to blame it on all public employees in the state.
Right.
350,000 Ohio workers would have their collective bargaining rights curtailed if Senate Bill 5 passes. And there's no question that we're in an economy that has been where the finance capitalism has stripped enormous wealth from Main Street, and that whole casino that most Americans were not privy to has resulted in a massive bailout by the federal government's taxpayers to the banks and the large firms, and has helped to effect an acceleration of the wealth of the nation upwards. You take that together with the war, Tom, and you have a condition where the taxpayers of the United States are being robbed by Wall Street and by war profiteers. And who would these governors turn their attention to? They want to blame the public workers. Look, people aren't stupid. They know that there's a game being played here, and I think it's going to backfire on those who have decided to target public workers for their enmity.
Yeah, I was on Fox News this morning on Fox and Friends, and it's bizarre how this entire thing is being framed as somehow Obama's recession, and in the midst of this horrible crisis, of course, we can't raise taxes on the productive people, that is the billionaires, and so we have to cut the wages and the benefits of the state employees. There's a real attempt, a very, very real attempt to pit working people against each other in the United States right now. Can you speak to that?
Well, that's true. I mean, you take this collective bargaining bill. They're trying to say, well, we'll let you negotiate wages. And if workers are trying to negotiate higher wages, that appeals to them. But for many people, the negotiation of benefits and working conditions is a monetized issue that is on par with increases in wages. So that's an attempt to split workers. In Wisconsin, they don't want the police, and I think the Wisconsin bill says that police and fire would not be affected by it. So that's an attempt to split them from the rest of workers.
Right.
The whole idea is to get working people fighting against each other while Wall Street walks away with the bank, while arms profiteers walk away with the Treasury that's invested so heavily in wars. And so this is really a time for working people to understand that those public unions are fighting the fight for everyone, that everyone has a stake in decent wages and in being able to have a say in your working conditions and your benefits. And if we give that up, then what we're doing is we're acceding to conditions that are the reverse of what it means to be a democracy.
I mentioned this to Matt Taibbi, who used to live in Russia, that in many ways, it's, we kind of smugly sit around and joke about the Russian oligarchs, but we are moving rapidly, it seems, in an oligarchic direction here in the United States, ruled by the rich, of, by, and for the rich, rather than small d democracy of, by, and for the people. What can we do about that?
Well, the first thing we can do is to support workers in Wisconsin, in Ohio, and states across this country who are asking for nothing more than the ability to be able to organize for the purpose of representing their concerns about wages, benefits, and working conditions. I mean, we must support collective bargaining, and we should also support the right to decent wages and benefits, and the right to a secure retirement, and the right to strike, and the right to safe working conditions. I mean, these are fundamental in a democratic society. If we start to give that up, we have to realize that the progress of our democracy has been tied to a twin phenomenon of the civil rights movement and the workers' rights movement tied to labor.
Right.
And as those two forces have advanced, so we have seen the quality of our democracy improve. So we have seen everyone have more of a voice in the workings of not just their job, but their government. But if we go in the other direction, if you can have a governor who can top down say, this is what I'm going to pay you, this is what your working conditions will be, these are your benefits if you have any, and you can't even answer back, that doesn't sound like the America that I grew up in, and I don't think it's the one we want our children growing up in. And we have to make sure that we fight back right now, and we support these workers who are rallying, and that we oppose this legislation, and that we demand that our government respect the contributions that workers are making, whether they're public or private workers.
Very, very well said. Congressman Dennis Kucinich, Kucinich.us, the website. Congressman Kucinich, thanks for being with us.
Tom, it's always an honor. Thank you, sir.
It's always an honor to have you, sir. Thank you.